What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about something that I knew was probably coming up at some point. And I'm going to talk about moving abroad, or more specifically moving to Finland for love. So this video is quite interesting because I know people do move abroad for love quite often. A lot of people move here to Finland for love, and a lot of Finnish people move overseas for love. And you know, I feel like today I want to give some advice. And if you watch any of my videos, you know that I don't usually give a lot of advice, but I thought it's probably important this time around. I've spoken to a lot of couples who've moved across the world for each other, and I think there are certain things that a bunch of people maybe don't take into consideration before actually doing it. So if you're thinking of doing that, whether you're Finnish wanting to move abroad, or someone abroad wanting to move to Finland, or anywhere else really, there are certain things I can tell you that you can think about, okay? If you're thinking about doing it, tag your partner in this video or send it to them, because I think there are certain things that you should probably consider. Now, it goes without saying that moving to a new country is a massive decision. It's not so small. You are leaving everything you know and love to go to a completely new place, different language, different culture, different vibe. And right now, you might be caught up in the throes of love and affection, and it might seem like a worthy sacrifice. But I just want to bring you back to the reality of how big of a mental shift needs to go on when you arrive, or how big of a mental trauma you actually face when you move to a new place. I'm going to be making a few assumptions here. I'm going to be making the assumption that you and your partner actually care about each other and that you are in a healthy relationship, right? Because that is very important. Anything other than that, I will not be able to help. So let's get on with it. The first question I would suggest you ask yourself is it worth it? Do you really love your partner? Like, it's a massive decision. I know I've said that a few times, but let me try and explain just how big of a decision it is. And of course, before I continue, I am talking about moving abroad anywhere, but for this particular video, I am making particular reference to Finland, where it's a different country with a different culture, a different language, a different system altogether than most other places out there. Now, ask yourself, is it worth it? Do you love your partner enough to leave everything that you know and love? Is it truly worth it? Could there be another way that you could go around so that you don't have to move to a new place? Is there a possibility perhaps that you both move to a different country, or can you wait it out? These are important questions to ask, and the reason I say that is because of this. When you move to a new country, especially for something like love, you will face a whole bunch of emotions. Now, right now, I'm speaking in the shoes of someone who moves to, say, Finland, right? You will face a whole bunch of emotions. One of them will be loneliness. You'll feel lonely because obviously you miss your family and your friends and perhaps the job you did, but it goes deeper than that, especially if you don't know the language. Once you arrive here, it will feel like you can't understand the world that is happening around you. Yes, here in Finland, a lot of people speak English and all that type of stuff, but most of the time when you're sitting in a bar, walking in a restaurant, or walking in a store, most people will be speaking Finnish. And if you're coming from a different country outside of Finland, it's most likely that you won't know Finnish at all. So you will feel completely isolated. You might hang out with your partner and her friends, and if there's enough people, they will end up speaking Finnish together at some point. And it's very easy at that point to feel completely isolated, alone, confused. And yes, you might smile and act like everything's all right, but it is a horrible feeling. Are you willing to feel that? To go through that? Another thing that will kick your ass is homesickness. Because of the feeling of loneliness and perhaps not knowing where you fit in this place, you might feel loads of homesickness where life made a lot more sense, and you'll find yourself questioning whether you made the right decision. You might actually find yourself feeling a little bit depressed because you miss home so much. There is a type of depression that comes from leaving what you previously called home. It's almost like part of your identity was found in the place that you called home, and when you leave, you have to kind of figure out who you are outside of the things you know, and that can be really messed up for your mind, and you have to be sure that you are willing to go through all that. And on top of that, you might get bouts of anxiety. No matter how strong of a person you are, you'll get moments where it all feels really overwhelming. You might feel a little confused and a little afraid, and it's important to know that you will go through those emotions. I know it's so easy to be like, yeah, we're in love, things are so perfect, but I promise you, the moment reality hits and you begin to realize that the day in and day out of life isn't a fairy tale, it's real. You have to go through every second and every moment of feeling this way. If you don't realize that, you're setting yourself up for failure. And it's important to know this. And of course, there are things that you can do to counteract that, but we'll talk about some of those things in a different video probably. On the other hand, if you are the person that your partner is coming to and you live here in Finland or you live anywhere else, you need to understand some of these things. You're going to need to be gracious and understanding and know that your partner is going to be feeling alone, is going to be feeling a lot of homesickness. You need to deeply understand that, ask them questions, figure out how they're feeling. I know it sounds like a huge responsibility, but you guys decided to shack up together in your country. So yes, a big portion of that responsibility does lay on you, because this is your home turf. So you're comfortable, you know where you are, and it's going to be really difficult to try and figure out where your partner kind of fits in your life here, especially if you guys have not lived together before for an extended period of time. It's really important to know this. You, as the person who is going to be bringing your partner here, you're going to have to be a lot more sensitive to what is happening. You're going to have to understand that, yes, when you're with your friends, it's going to be a little bit difficult to try and coordinate everyone to kind of speak together and make things easier for your partner. Make it easier for them to understand what is happening. As best as you can, try and bring them in conversations. I know this all sounds like normal stuff, but I promise you, this is stuff that gets missed sometimes, and you need to pay attention to it. For the sake of your relationship, do it. You see, the thing about moving to a different country is that it puts a lot more strain on the relationship. When you're seeing someone in the country you're living in, you know, if things don't work out, you just like, peace, I'm out. But when you move to a different country, you've both made a somewhat of a big commitment. You know, you've put a lot more barriers in there to stop you from just splitting apart. So you have to ask yourself the question, is it worth it? Is it really worth the hassle, the trouble, the homesickness, the fear? And for the person who is inviting someone to their home here, you must understand, yes, sometimes you might feel a little bit claustrophobic. It might feel really difficult trying to get your partner settled in this place. So you have to ask yourselves, is it worth it? And if the answer is yes, then all right, then let us continue. If you're the one moving abroad, I know this is gonna sound really weird, but do you really trust your partner? Like truly, in your heart and in your soul? Because once you move to a new country, you are in their home turf. They can treat you how they want. I know this comes across as pretty dark, but I'm being serious. It's an important thing to consider, to speak about, to know. Do I trust my partner to treat me well in a place that I don't call my own? Do I trust my partner to look out for me? Do I trust my partner to try and understand how confusing and weird this all is for me? These are important considerations, and I guess the opposite is true as well. If you're inviting your partner, you're bringing them to your home turf. Because it's your home, you basically have a lot more of the, can I say, power. Because when you are in a place that you are comfortable with, you get to make a lot more of the decisions. You get to direct how things go a little bit more, and you need to understand that you do have that power. And I put it in inverted commas because relationships obviously aren't about someone having power over another, but I hope you understand that in the context I'm talking about now, I just mean that you know a lot more about how the country works, about where you are and all that kind of jazz. So ask yourself, do you really trust each other? And if the answer is yes with that one, then cool. If you're enjoying this video, please leave me a like, it costs you nothing, and subscribe to my channel. For me, I would totally appreciate it. I'm trying to do this sort of content as often as I can, maybe once or twice a week, so that would be great. And also, if you want me to do a part 2 of this, let me know down in the comments. If you have any other suggestions, what you want to know, let me know, and we'll talk about it. So anyway, back to the video. There are several things that I personally think that you have to talk about. Yes, okay, some of these things you have to talk about in any relationship, but with moving abroad, these are things that need to be spoken about openly and honestly. Depending on the nature of how you move here or how your partner moves somewhere else, you guys are going to have to discuss everything to do with money. Or what sort of job are you going to get? What is the plan? There are times where one partner is not allowed to work for a few months while they're waiting for papers. Is that something that you've considered? Have you spoken about it? What will you do if that happens? Money can bring so much strain on a relationship if it's not spoken about. Another thing to talk about is the future. What is the plan? Are you planning on living here in Finland, or are you planning on living abroad somewhere else? That will inform a bunch of things, like you think of having kids. Does this mean that you're going to try to learn the language, or is your partner who's Finnish going to learn your language? Listen, my entire channel is about Finland and how much I enjoy living here. I even try and explain a little bit about my journey of how I actually didn't like Finland, and over time, things have changed for me. But I will say this, no matter how amazing I make Finland sound, if you move here specifically because of a relationship, if your relationship isn't good, you're going to hate it. If some of these things that I'm talking about aren't spoken about, it's going to make it that much harder to feel at home here. Lastly, to end this video, I'll just say the most important thing, basically everything put together, is communication. Let everything hang loose in your heart. Other than that, being in love is a beautiful thing, and there are times when you have to take risks, and it's all right to fail sometimes, which you will in a lot of things. But the important thing is that you take some of these precautions, put a lot of work into giving your relationship the best chance to succeed. But anyway, I hope some of this helped you. If it did, let me know in the comments below, and like I said earlier, leave me a like and subscribe to the channel. You guys are awesome, and I wish you all the happiness in the world. You guys are amazing. Cheers. Bye.